In this video, I'm going to show you how to find the surface area of a triangular prism. All right, so here's a triangular prism. And by the way, it doesn't have to be turned this way. It's going to be a triangular prism. Even if it was turned on its side, it's still a triangular prism. You can always identify what kind of prism you're dealing with by the congruent bases that are across from each other. Okay, so you have some kind of shape, it's congruent on two opposite faces, and then you have rectangles, and the rectangle shapes are going around the sides. So that's the overall thing. So I could ask you to find two things here. I could ask you to find the lateral area, okay? The lateral area is just the area of the rectangles that make up the sides, okay? Now, the base here is an equilateral triangle. So this front rectangle is a 4 by 5 rectangle, okay? It's got a width of 4, it's got a height of 5, okay? That side rectangle there, which is one of the other sides, is also a 4 by 5, okay? And this side rectangle here is also going to be a 4 by 5. So we have 3 4 by 5 rectangles, okay? Because we have 3 of these, we can take 3 times 20, and we can find out that the lateral area is equal to 60 square units, all right? Now the follow-up, if I ask you to find the total area, and again, it may say TA, total area, it may say SA, surface area. The surface area implies that they're asking you for the area of the entire figure, okay? And that means you need to add these two triangular bases, all right? Remember, we now have a formula for the area of an equilateral triangle. So if you remember that formula, it can be really, really quick. Remember, it's side squared over 4 times radical 3, okay? So the side squared here is 16. 16 divided by 4 is 4, and so that tells you that this triangle face here has an area of 4 radical 3 square units, and there's a second triangular face up here, it's the same triangle, that also has an area of 4 radical 3 square units. So you're going to take the 60 square units, and you're going to add the 4 radical 3 for the base, and the 4 radical 3 for the top. That'll give you 8 radical 3. Notice you've got 60, that's 60 ones, and you've got 8 radical 3, that's 8 square roots of 3. Can't be simplified. So your final area is going to be 60 plus 8 radical 3. And again, best to say square units since you're dealing with area. Okay, don't try to add those together. It's not 68 radical 3. That's what's going on. All right? So that's the idea of finding the surface area of basically an equilateral triangle prism. Let's look at another example involving a triangle. So another situation you can see is maybe something that looks like this. Maybe I have, let's say I have a right triangle, okay? So there's a right triangle here, and I've got a right triangle over here, okay? Those are congruent right triangles, and I have straight edges connecting the vertices of those right triangles, okay? And I'll do kind of a dotted line there to show that that's behind there. All right, so let's say that this length is 3, and that this length here is 4, and let's say that this length here is 10. Okay, and same kind of question. I would like to find the lateral surface area, and then later I'd like to find the total surface area. You need to be careful. Part of the reason that I talked about the difference between a prism and a cone before I got started is this type of problem, okay? If you're in a hurry, a lot of people get in a rush, and they look at this rectangle base here, and they say that that's the base. Okay, you notice even I called it a base. That's not the base of this prism, okay? The prism is defined, its bases are defined as being those congruent shapes that are across from each other, okay? So this is a triangular prism. We've got triangles. Again, you may want to redraw it so they're at the top and the bottom. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So, you know, I could draw one triangle there, and I could draw one triangle here, and I can kind of turn it. But anyway, if I ask you to find the lateral area, again, a lot of times people think, oh, I got to find this triangle and this space here and this triangle and that rectangle back there because those are the sides. Those are not the sides, okay? The triangles are your bases. The rectangles are the sides of the prism. So anytime you're finding a lateral area of a prism, you're finding areas of rectangles, okay? But again, sometimes people kind of look at this, sometimes people even think that's a pyramid, okay? And it's not a pyramid. It does not come to a single point at the top. It comes to a ridge, okay? So it's still a prism. So anyway, I'm going to change this around a little bit. I didn't draw this to scale very well, but anyway, the height here is going to be 10. We've got a side length, so the bases are right triangles. We've got a side length of 3 here. We've got a side length of 4, all right? And so anyway, we kind of turn this around just a little bit. All right, so here's the idea. Lateral area, still the area of the sides, but the sides are rectangles, okay? So this length is 3, that length is 4. This height back here is 10 to match that height right there. So if we take a look back here, we have a 3 by 10 rectangle, okay? That back piece there, that has an area of 30 square units, okay? If you notice, this back rectangle doesn't have the same dimensions. It's a 4 by 10, okay? Its area is going to be 40 square units. And if you notice, the front rectangle, they didn't tell me this length on either of those two triangles. So hopefully you recognize the triangular base is a right triangle, okay? It's a little 3, 4, 5 right triangle, okay? So this is a 5 by 10 rectangle, and 5 times 10 is 50. Okay, so your lateral area is 30 plus 40 plus 50, which is 120 square units, okay? Now, moving forward, we want to find the total area. Maybe they call it the circle, the surface area, maybe they call it the total area. It could be called different things, okay? Oh, we've already got the areas of the sides, so I don't need those anymore. Now I need to add in the areas of the bases, okay? The base is a right triangle. Remember, the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 the base times the height, okay? So you need to turn this triangle in a way so that you have a base and a height. Remember, the height has to hit the base at a perpendicular. So turn the triangle this way, do like 3, 4, 5, something like that. We can do a base of 4 and a height of 3, or you can do a base of 3 and a height of 4. But the point is, those are the sides that you're using to find your area. So 1/2 of 4 times 3 would give me an area of 6 for each of those triangles. There's an area of 6 on the bottom, there's an area of 6 on the top. So we've got the 120, we're adding the 6 on the bottom, and we're adding the 6 on the top, and that's going to be 132 square units total. All right, so be very careful when you're working with triangular prisms. Make sure when you find the lateral area, you're finding areas of rectangular sides. Okay, very easy to make mistakes if you're in a hurry on some of these problems.